Big Mike here with
Hayes Entertainment.
today's episode. We got Dustin Jacoby of the UFC fighting this Saturday in the main card.
Like what we're doing, hit the subscribe button. Let's go.
What's up, guys? This is Dustin, the Hanyak Jacoby. Thanks for joining me on I Only Touch Greatness podcast. Welcome.
Looking for the most beers on tap? Great steaks, great staff? Head over to the John B. Pub.
We got the best beers, steaks, chicken wings, nachos in town. Come see us at the John B. Pub.
The John B. Pub, the best bar in town. Come sign up for our football pool. Say Hayes sent you.
Turn it up. The number one sports podcast in Vancouver with Ryan Hayes and Big Mike.
Ryan Hayes and Big Mike. I never stop. I Only Touch Greatness podcast.
This is I Only Touch Greatness podcast with Ryan Hayes and Big Mike. We are going live.
Hey, Dustin, how's it going?
Good. How are you, Mike?
Good. Thank you very much for taking the time for us today. My name's Big Mike, and that's Ryan.
Nice to meet you.
What's up, Ryan? How are you, man? A Seahawks fan.
Yeah, it's draft day too, so we're everybody's pumped for the draft.
I am a big fan of Metcalf, man. The guy's a monster.
Hey, we got it on the wall. I'm wearing the Metcalf as well. So
dude, that guy's a freak, man. One of my favorites.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So Seattle, your team?
No, I'm a Cowboys fan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been a Cowboys fan since I was a kid. I grew up in the 90s, so that was the team to beat, and I just fell on, man.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. From Colorado and a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, I know, man. That's what everybody says. I cheer for the Broncos, man. I love John Elway back in the day, and yeah, man. I grew up rooting for the Broncos. I don't cheer against them, but I'm diehard Dallas.
Oh,
Okay.
Broncos made some moves, getting Bridgewater yesterday or the day before.
Yeah, I did an interview yesterday, and we were talking about. I played college football. I was a quarterback, and we were talking about the draft a little bit. And they were asking me about Drew Lock, and I'm actually buddies with a few of the Broncos. Really good buddies with Dalton Reisner, a big stud on the offensive line. And I was like, I think Drew Lock had a pretty impressive year. Well, then right after we got done talking about it, boom, it popped up on my phone. Yeah. They got Bridgewater. I'm like, oh shit, maybe they're not gonna go with Lock. There's going to be a little bit of a competition there in D-Town.
And Mike was telling me just a few minutes ago that I guess Aaron Rodgers might be Aaron Rodgers has Broncos on his list.
Yeah, he made a short list. He made a short list of 3 last night, and it was the Broncos, 49ers, and Raiders.
No kidding. I don't see him leaving Green Bay, but we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't see it happen either, but suppose he's pissed off and he walked out of their meeting, and so
interesting, man.
We'll see what happens. We'll get started here. So born in Colorado, when did you start fighting?
I started fighting. I guess I was in college. My first amateur fight was July of 2008, and my twin brother was fighting before me. I was playing college football. I think I was a sophomore in college. My brother called me up, Darren. And he said, hey, man, I'm getting in a fight this weekend. And I'm like, what, a fight? I was like, you're getting in a fight this weekend? I thought fights just happened. And he's like, no, man, I'm putting gloves on. We go to a weigh-ins on Friday. It was in Iowa at the time. And he's like, I step into a cage and I'm fighting this guy. I'm like, no way. So I was 20 years old. I go to my computer in my dorm room and I start typing in MMA. And that's when I first, I'd never seen anything about cage fighting before, man. And, everybody's always asking me, when are you going to start fighting? I'm like, no way I'd ever do that. Well, my brother ended up signing me up for one. There was a guy that fell off at 205 And I was like, dude, I'd knock that guy out. And he's like, I'm going to call the promoter right now. He called the promoter. I'm like, no way. And sure enough, I went in there and I knocked the guy out in 55 seconds. And, here we are more like 12 years later, man, still going strong.
That's awesome. Yeah, I read about a bunch of your you had a bunch of Div 1 scholarships for football too, and then you had a gruesome knee injury or something like that, eh?
Yeah, man. I was all state my junior and senior year, and my senior year we were the number 1 ranked team in state, going for a state championship, undefeated. Just no one even came close to us. Not only was I good, man. I played at a small high school, but I played. My brother, my twin brother was a stud, but I had a bunch of great friends and teammates that it was something really special, man. For such a small school, how many talented people I had around me. And second round of the playoffs, I took off running and tore my MCL, my PCL, my LCL, and a partial ACL. And it was a pretty down moment in my life, man, because like football, sports was everything to me. I excelled at basketball and baseball as well, and missed my entire senior year pretty much of basketball. I got to play the last couple games, but just a real down spot, kind of depressed in my life. And heck, I would have never went to college if it wasn't for football, but that's what I always said. I was going to play college football, like no doubt about it. And, I ended up going to an NAIA school at the very last minute. Like I said, I was pretty depressed, didn't even care. A lot of Division I schools had stripped the scholarship they offered and told me I could still walk on, but they were going to take the athlete without the injury. And of course that hurt, that stung a little bit. Ended up going to an NAIA school. I got a really good scholarship, but damn near a full ride, and ended up, we were just absolutely terrible. So I was there for a couple years, and then I redshirted my freshman year, and I transferred to Quincy University and played there for a couple years, which was an awesome decision. And then it was some good football. I met some great friends. So yeah, I played at Quincy. And then right after that is when my senior year, I could have came back my redshirt senior year. But that's when MMA had really been kicking. I was like 3-0 as an amateur. I was fighting in the off season and ended up moving down to the Hit Squad, Matt Hughes's gym, right out of college, man. And less than a year later, I was in the UFC. So it all happened pretty fast for me.
Yeah. Do you have any other hobbies other than sports?
Other than sports, I mean, I've recently just got into chess big time. I absolutely love chess. Very avid golfer. Golf is like my favorite pastime. That's a sport, but yeah, pretty much anything competitive. Big into crypto. I enjoy gambling. I love poker, any kind of dice game. So I'm kind of a jack of all trades, man. I do it all. Yeah.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
I like it. I like it. You started off with Glory, right? And that's when you started kicking ass, and then you kind of moved into MMA after that?
No, I was into MMA first.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was 9-1 as an amateur, and then I turned pro in November of 2010. Reeled off 6 quick finishes, and by October of 2011, I was in the UFC and made my UFC debut, UFC 137 at Mandalay Bay. It was supposed to be the Nick Diaz George St. Pierre card. Ended up being Nick Diaz BJ Penn, and had 2 fights with the UFC. I lost both of them, got cut, and shortly after that, I had I won a fight. Excuse me to say so much. I won a fight in like a couple months after I got cut from the UFC, and then I got a contract with the first ever World Series of Fighting, and I fought David Branch and lost a close decision on that one. And then that's when Glory came around. I was training to fight Andrew Sanchez, who's now in the UFC, and I was fighting him in March of 2013, but I got a call on the January 31st about this Glory kickboxing tournament, and it was on February 1st, and it was a good buddy of mine, Brian Foster. It was in Oklahoma. It was 3 fights in one night. They were going to pay me like $1,500 to show up, and I never kickboxed before, and then they paid the winner $20,000. And I was like, well, hell yeah, man, sign me up. So I got that was on a Wednesday night. I got my car on Thursday morning. I drove down there. I weighed in. And on Friday, I knocked everybody out and got the contract with Glory, man. Had no idea what I had won. They were trying to sign me that night. And I was like, dude, I'm not going to sign anything. I had this MMA fight. My goal was still to get back in the UFC. And after further talks with them, I signed the contract and, had over 20 fights with Glory, right at, I think 21 fights with Glory, and had a couple stints with Bellator in there where it was just a good opportunity. And I wasn't training MMA at all. I was training all stand-up kickboxing. And then I fought Muhammad Lal and John Salter, two extremely high-level wrestlers and grapplers. So it did not play out in my favor. I was not real prepared. Like I said, I was just training kickboxing pretty much. And then, of course, lost those fights. And then, got my shot on the Contender Series last August, and I've made the most of it so far.
I was going to say, now you're on a 4-0 streak here. Let's keep it going here this Saturday.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I'm extremely confident. I'm extremely comfortable fighting at the Apex. And, the first time it was really weird because it was my first time in my whole career fighting with no fans, with no crowd. And then on the Contender Series, you don't have any walkout music. You have the shortest walk possible. You go out the door and you take 10 steps. The cage is right there. They grease you up. You step in. Next thing I stepped in first. Next thing you know, my opponent comes out and no introduction. The gate closes and bam, it's fight on. So everything about that was really weird. But I think it's led me to where I'm at right now. My next 2 fights after that, I just felt really comfortable at the Apex. And like you said, man, we're going for 5 in a row MMA and 4 in a row at the Apex. So I'm comfortable. I'm confident. I'm ready to get this shit done Saturday.
Do you have any pre-fight rituals or meals?
Not really. I just, I eat, the UFC does a great job of taking care of us, and they provide us with the meals all week. And I've actually, started bulking. I fought the majority of my career at 185, and, I did the Contender Series at 205. I just decided to eliminate the weight cut. The weight cut isn't hard for me. I just feel like guys are a little bit quicker at 185. So I decided to stay at 205, where I've got the frame to compete with anybody at 205. It's just mass-wise, they're a little bit bigger than me. So I started bulking a little bit. And a couple weeks ago when I got this call, I was just right at 220 pounds, which is the heaviest I've been in a while. And I just started the bulking phase. I was like 3-4 weeks into it. I was like, oh, shit, now I got to get back down to 205. So no pre-fight rituals, nothing I do any different. I just continue what I do and get ready for game day.
How short was the notice? I know it was pretty short. When did you actually get the call?
Yeah, I got the call last Sunday. Well, I guess it would have been almost 2 weeks ago now. Not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before. I was actually in Fort Smith, Arkansas, training with a buddy of mine, Brian Foster. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but he's like the original badass. He's the first pro fighter I really looked up to. He was on a tear in the UFC, man, had 5 UFC fights. 3 of them were bonuses, and had an unfortunate head injury, man, that the UFC had to medically cut him. And he's never made it back since. He still fought, but yeah, doctors are the athletic commissions are scared to sign him. It's a lot of, it's a whole bunch of other stuff. I feel terrible for him. But anyway, I was out at his gym. I was checking out everything that he's built the past few years. He's got a fight promotion and a gym where he's training guys. So I was with him, man. There's no better guy to be with when I got that short notice call. That's a fighter's fighter right there, man. I love when he's in my corner. He hasn't been in my corner in a while, but he's just a guy that, man, he's the real deal, man. And I was with him when I got that call. So I was like, yeah, let's do it.
That's sweet. That's sweet. And there is no one better to train with than that guy. Also, how much do you know about Ian? And have you been watching him for a while?
Yeah, he's a guy that, I've paid real close attention to for the past couple of years. Even in 2018, I broke my arm a couple of times and I took some time off from training, and he just sticks out to people. He's a fan-friendly guy. He passes the eyeball test anytime he fights. It's like, damn, you tuned into this guy, And it's like I manifested this one. I always thought about what it would be like fighting him. And of course, he's in my weight class, so I paid a little bit closer attention to those guys. And so I knew exactly who he was. I knew what he brought to the table, and I was pumped, man. He's a fighter's fighter. He throws down, he gets after it, he brings it, and I think it's going to be an exciting fight for everybody involved.
Are you looking forward to weigh-ins?
Yeah, man. I watched the weigh-ins are going to be a dud now. Everybody's like built up the weigh-ins. Ever since I got this fight, the first thing all my buddies and friends and family sent me, like, man, you got to be prepared for weigh-ins. This guy gets crazy. And I had, a couple media interviews here at the Apex already, and people brought up the weigh-ins. I'm like, look, man, he can do whatever he wants. I know he gets dramatic at the weigh-ins. I know he gets real riled up. Just don't touch me. As long as he doesn't touch me, we're all good, man. Because if he pushes me or anything, my first instinct is going to be right to slap him. And I promise that. Like, just don't touch me. You can get yourself pumped up. Just don't touch me, man. And so watch. Everybody's been building up the weigh-ins. He'll come up, and it won't be an issue. It'll just be kind of kosher.
No, he'll shake your hand or something, just do something real easy or something you watch.
Yeah, right. I'm prepared for whatever, I'm prepared for the worst, but yeah, of course, hope for the best.
If you could sit down to dinner with anyone dead or alive, who would it be?
Sit down to dinner with anybody dead or alive. That's a good question, man. Big sports guy. Probably Tom Brady or Michael Jordan, someone like that. I had a recent question. If you could play golf with 3 people, who would it be?
Hey, nice one.
Dead or alive, and I definitely said I had Tom Brady, I had Michael Jordan, I had Tiger Woods, man, 3 goats right there. So those would be my guy. Probably Tom Brady or Michael Jordan. Like I said, big sports guy. I was a quarterback, and I grew up idolizing Brady, and he's hands down the GOAT, man. There's no questions asked. So, probably TB, man.
Yeah, that's a great question. We're stealing that.
Yeah.
You fought a lot of tough guys in your fighting days so far. Does any stick out to you more than one another?
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's what people say, that they think that this is a step up in competition for me. And I strongly disagree, man. Nobody's walked a second in my shoes. If you don't know what my glory run was like, man, I stepped in there with some real killers, man. Daniel Lungas, Murad Bouzidis, Michael Dutz. A couple guys that really stand out to me is Simon Marcus and Alex Pereira, two of the baddest guys on the planet, pound for pound. Two of the toughest guys that I fought. And I tell people all the time, man, when I go into these fights, like this Kuntalaba fight, he's not going to be anything I haven't seen. And those guys that I faced before, each time I fight, you go in there and you leave a piece of you in that ring. And, sometimes a piece of you gets taken as well. And you take a piece from your opponent. And I feel like every time I fight now, I think of those guys, Simon Marcus, Alex Pereira, too, that I think of every single time. That's like, man, they're on my back, and I want to make them proud too. I want to show them that they didn't just it's not like they got lucky beat me. They beat a tough opponent. And so when I go and fight, man, I'm putting on for every guy that's beat me. Just like any guy that I've beat, I want them to go on and win fights. I don't want to beat a guy and then they go lose 10 fights. That's not saying anything about me. I want to beat a guy and I want them to go win their next 10 fights. It shows that, that they're a high level competition. So I would have to say Simon Marcus and Alex Pereira, man. Those are 2 killers that I fought and unfortunately came up short too. And every time I fight, man, I think of those guys.
Never really looked at it like that before, eh?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it. It's a good way to look at it.
There's some deep insight for you.
Yeah.
What's your favorite strike and favorite submission?
My favorite submission would probably it used to be the triangle choke, but now I think it's like a Darce or Anaconda. I love getting the Darce Anaconda. I love drilling them. Favorite strike, I don't know, man. Probably just keep it simple. 1-2 straight down the pipe. I truly believe big time in my right hand, and whether it be the jab or the cross. I think I have a really good jab, and I think it's going to be important to get that jab going early and often in this fight.
That was some nasty leg injuries last weekend.
Man, it felt so bad for Chris Weidman. He's a buddy of mine. I've been, messaging him throughout this, trying to get him to play a little chess with me during his downtime. And then, of course, Anthony Smith, a teammate and friend of mine. I was super happy for him. Super bummed for Jimmy Crute. That guy's an absolute animal. I could totally see myself fighting him in the near future. And I just got to go take care of business this Saturday, and then I'll be right up there in the top 15 with these guys. So super excited. But yeah, man, you watch those injuries and it makes you nervous to even, I throw those calf kicks hard, man. So after seeing it happen to Weidman, it kind of makes you just pause and think for a minute, and just be thankful, because you never know when your last day is going to be. You go in there, the worst thing I always think about is losing, right? And, the longer I've done this, I've broke my arm twice. You start to think about things like that. Like, I never used to think, oh, I'm going to get hurt. That never, ever used to cross my mind. And now, you're in it for a long time. You're facing higher competition. You just see these freak things happen more often. You get a little bit nervous of something like that happening, and you just never know. I don't want to take it for granted. So a guy like Weidman, he was so well prepared. He looked like he was in great shape. And who knows, man? I hope he comes back from this if he wants to. And I hope he physically is capable of it, but B, I hope he wants to. And yeah, man, you just never know when your last time can be. So after seeing those injuries, man, it really just makes you think for a second, like, you just pray that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I had to look away for that one. And I was like, oh man, that was nasty.
The irony behind it where, of course, him with Anderson Silva, but then Uriah Hall, the last guy he fought was Anderson Silva. And then the next guy he fought is Weidman, and Weidman was the first guy to beat him. And there was just so much irony going on there, man. It's crazy. Like you can't tell me that that's not called fate. It's just, it's unbelievable, man. You don't see that too often. And bam, the way it played out, man, it's pretty wild.
Do you have a favorite piece of sports memorabilia?
Favorite piece of sports memorabilia? Don't really have anything that sticks out to me. I guess it'd be some of the accolades that I won. I guess I won a couple trophies. I won 3. I fought in 6 tournaments before with Glory, which meaning I fought 3 times in a night, 6 different times. And 4 times I've won every single one of those tournaments. And I've got some trophies to show for that. So that's pretty cool. And then that first ever Road to Glory tournament I won, it came with like a huge, like when people win something, they got this big check, this huge check. I'd say I've got one of those. It's actually still at a buddy of mine back in Illinois. So I haven't seen that thing in a hot minute, but I'd have to say a couple of those. Other than that, I don't really have anything. I'm not a big collector, I guess.
What do you plan on leaving What do you plan on leaving in the ring because I believe you have to leave a piece of I guess clothes or memorabilia with Dana or something?
Yeah, we got to leave. I forgot about that. I usually just leave like my undershirt, something. I usually keep the jacket. I usually keep the gloves. Hell, I wish I could just give a hat if I could walk, but I don't ever walk out in a hat. Maybe I'll just give it to him and say I walked out into it.
Yeah, I mean, somebody told us, one of the UFC guys we've interviewed before, it might have been Miranda Maverick, said that she just carries the shirt with her and then has that as what she's got to leave behind.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea either, man.
Yeah.
I usually have the past couple of times I've made my corners leave their shirt. I'm like, hey man, you leave your shirt. We'll say that I wore it.
Yeah, there you go.
What's your entering ring music or go-to song?
Yeah, I'm going to go with, I'm going to keep it what I've kept it here at the Apex so far. It's Tom Petty, Running Down a Dream. I thought about coming out to some DMX, but again, we don't have a crowd. If we had a crowd, I was for sure going to come out to some DMX, but with no crowd, I'm just going to keep it what's got me here, man. Tom Petty, Running Down a Dream. I think it's really fitting for where I'm at. I was in the UFC a decade ago, and here I am a decade later, man, still chasing that dream. And I truly, right now, man, this is my final push. That when I say that, I still believe I have 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it is in me. But once I'm done, once I get cut by the UFC this time, man, it's it for me. I'll be calling it quits. I'm not going to go be the guy that's, fighting around the local scene, unless, I get cut and then fucking Jake Paul's still doing his thing and running his mouth. If he wants to do that, of course I'd do something like that. But yeah, man. It's a final run, final push, and I'm running down a dream, man. So that's what I'm walking out to.
Mayweather is going to dummy his brother. Like, how stupid is he?
Yeah, I just don't understand that, man. I really don't. I don't get it. I don't get it. And by the way, what weight are they fighting at? I mean, Mayweather's like 160, if that, right? Walking around like this Logan Paul guy is like 200 pounds. So
I know.
I don't get it, man.
It's bringing it back to like the first UFC days when like little Hoist Gracie's fighting like the 400-pound Japanese guy.
Yeah, right. And that one doesn't even excite me. Like that doesn't even really interest me. Like there's no part of me that wants to see that. I'm not gonna lie. Part of me wanted to see the Askren and Paul fight, and My dumbass, like right when Ben Askren was walking out, I paid for it. I ended up buying it, but I sat at the table with everybody I was watching with. Nobody else was going to buy it. I'm like, man, I can't just sit here and not buy it. So I bought it. But what I said before I bought it, I said, you know what? I'm only doing this because I'm throwing it out in the atmosphere right now. And when the day comes that this guy keeps winning and I get my shot at fighting him, I want all of you guys to buy the pay-per-view as well. So I'm buying it here. I'm going to, be nice and just throw it out in the atmosphere and hopefully it comes back to me sometime.
Yeah. And I even heard someone, it's probably just a rumor, but I heard he took a fall. He took the dive.
No way, man. I not one part of me believes that. I've got buddies that just are like diehard believers that happen. You know what? This is what I was saying. You watch that fight and I'll give Jake Paul credit, man. He's actually decent. He really is decent. And when I was watching that fight, the longer I watched it, I'm like, dude, he's not throwing anything wild. Jake Paul, he never threw a wild punch. And right before he knocked him out was the first big hard right hand he threw. And as I was saying, I was telling my buddy Brian Foster, and I couldn't bring myself to bet on Jake Paul. So I not money anyways. I bet Foster 50 push-ups on the spot. Jake Paul knocked him out. He's like, no way. He was all over Ben Askren. I'm like, 50 push-ups on the spot. So we're watching. I'm like, dude, Jake Paul hasn't even thrown a wild punch. That is telling me like I'm even more confident he's going to knock him out. And as I was saying that, right, he threw his first wild punch. I'm like, look, that's the first wild. And right when I said that is when he threw the 1-1-2 and caught him, dude. That was flush. Askren's just he's a terrible boxer.
Yeah.
And I mean, he can't box to save his life. He looked like he showed up off the couch, man. He had more back fat than I've ever seen him have. And with this being said, I love Ben Askren, man. I like watching him. I think he's entertaining, and he was one hell of a fighter, because of his wrestling. But that guy can't box his way out of a wet box, dude. I mean, and I do not think for a second he took a dive, man. I think that he got dropped, he got caught. And he got back up, right? But he was still – what I am pissed about is I think the refs should have let it go again. But I think he was just delaying the inevitable. He would have been delaying the inevitable. I think that he was going to get caught, man. And I think that's exactly what happened. Like I said, it kills me to say this, but Jake Paul's actually decent. He did not look too bad for his YouTube, 6-fight guy. I mean, he handled it well, man.
Yeah.
I have to agree with you. But, yeah, like you said, Ben's definitely a grappler or like a wrestler. Going into it, I knew that there's no way he's going to win this by a boxing match. There's no way.
And poor Ben, man, had such a badass career. Like whatever he went 19-20, whatever his record was before that. Before he took that loss and then he gets knocked out. Now his whole career is going to be a meme with the Masvidal and the Jake Paul fight, man. So, but at least he got paid.
Exactly. If you could have a dream fight with anybody, who would it be?
A dream fight with anybody, man. I think the dream fight could still possibly happen. I've always watched Andrei Arlovski, and dude, I do not want to fight at heavyweight in the UFC. Those guys are some absolute killers. I'm having a hard enough time mass-wise keeping up with these light heavyweights, but I truly think that I could knock out Andrei Arlovski. And total respect, man. I'm not calling him out. I'm not saying anything negative about him. I've just been a big fan. He's been around for so long. I remember back in the day watching him fight and thinking this guy's a maniac. I think that would be an awesome fight just to share the octagon with him one time. And I guess that would be a dream fight.
And one of our recent guests, right? Is that where you're heading here, Mike?
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I was pretty disappointed in that fight because I thought our boy Tanner Bulldozer Bozer would have killed him. And I feel like he gave him way too much respect. Like, oh, he's a big name. He's a legend of UFC. Gave him way too much respect.
Yeah. See, I think I truly believe I can go in there and put him down, man. But that's the only one, man. Every other heavyweight would eat my lunch.
Hey, if you could go anywhere in the world right now, where are you heading?
Man, anywhere right now would be freaking the Apex Center Saturday night, man.
After your fight, when you win a championship or something, everyone's like, I'm going to Disneyland. Where are you going after your fight?
Man, I'd have to go to Bali or I don't know, Hawaii to play some golf.
Yeah.
The nicest golf course in the world, wherever that might be, that's where I want to be.
Augusta.
Oh man, there you go, bro. That would be a dream. There you go. You said it, dude.
Yeah.
That would be a dream come true, man. That would be awesome.
Yeah, it would.
How do you celebrate after a big win?
So we usually stay around Vegas. We fly out of Vegas on Monday. Every time we book our flight home for Monday, and we're gonna have a big pool party on Sunday. It's gonna be like 100 degrees. It's been super hot around here. Yeah, we're gonna have a big pool party at the Flamingo. Just redid all their pool and stuff. That's where all my family and friends are staying, and probably gonna rent a cabana there and just chill and drink in the sun all day and just relish in the moment, man. Enjoy the big victory and just hang out with my closest family and friends.
Yeah, I that's where I stayed. I love that place, and the pool party there is unreal. I remember sending the wife with I think it was like $30 American. It was my first time in Vegas, so give me some leeway. I sent her with $30 to get us drinks. She comes back, she's like, they're $30 each. I'm like, what? I'm like, all right, fuck.
Yeah, man, they'll get you, dude. I think we're looking at renting a cabana. It was like $850, and then you have to spend $300 in food and drinks, which that would be super easy for the whole day. But
I was gonna say that's not much there, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right. That's just a couple hours worth right there. But yeah, we'll be poolside, man. It'll be a good day.
Hey, are you a waffles or pancakes guy?
I'm a waffles guy. I love waffles, man.
Yeah, I know. Man. So do I.
Hey, Dustin, we wish you best of luck this weekend, and we know you're gonna knock them out. That's my call. I'm calling a knockout, and yeah, we'd love to have you on again in the future. We're big fans of yours, and we wish you best of luck, man.
Hey, man, it's been a great time talking with you guys. I truly appreciate it. And yeah, after I get this big victory, just hit me up, man. I'm sorry it took so long to get at you, but I'm glad I did it. And we can talk we can recap the fight a little bit the next time.
Yeah,
absolutely. And we want to get, we've been talking to Anthony Leinhart to get back on here too. So maybe we'll get you guys on together.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's do it, man. Anthony's my boy, and I'm sure we can make that happen.
If you're looking for a mug, perhaps a hoodie, head on over to IOnlyTouchGreatness.com.
Looking for the most beers on tap, great steaks, great staff? Head over to the John B. Pub.
We got the best beers, steaks, chicken wings, nachos in town. Come see us at the John B. Pub.
The John B. Pub, the best bar in town. Come sign up for our football pool. Say Hayes sent you.